How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have Love Honey with us, and he can say his name and what he does in the band.
It's Tommy, and I play guitar.
Awesome. So the first question, Tommy, I ask this every band: how did you start out Love Honey? How'd you get your members and that you have today?
Okay, well, we started out. It's an interesting story how we started out.
There we go. I love that.
Yeah, it's really actually at the time, me and the singer. I met the singer. I put out an ad on Craigslist
Okay.
looking for a vocalist, someone that was into. I think I remember it was like that was into like the Kills and Black Keys
Okay.
and stuff like that. And so the place where I work, the sweatshop, it's in Brooklyn. It's a rehearsal studio. And so I'm a technician there. And I put out the ad, and then I said, okay, so, come to my job and meet me there, and so she responded to the ad and was into the same type of band. So we linked up. And then, the first day that we met, I think we wrote like maybe one or two songs.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, this is great. This could really work. We're into the same type of stuff, she had never been in a band before at that time,
Oh, cool.
And so, we didn't really, we kind of just at that moment was just like, okay, let's just, write some stuff and see how it goes. And, and as time went by, it never really like materialized into a band, but we stayed in contact and we'd always send each other songs and links to different type of stuff like that,
Sure.
and so a little time went by, and then I started another band. And right when I was getting ready to start that band, I met Tom, the drummer, and he was coming in because he used to work at the place where I work
Okay.
years ago, before me, so I was like, yeah, man, I'm getting ready to start this band. It's going to be really cool. And like, I remember showing him like the clip, like the audio clip of the drummer and just like the singer that I found, and he's like, oh man, I wish I could be playing on this. This sounds really cool, So nevertheless, he was at that time, he was moving back to Florida.
Okay.
So it's like, man, one of these days, man, we got to get together, man, and play. It'll be really dope. So now at that time, Al and I were still communicating, still, sending each other stuff, but we weren't, doing music at that time.
Sure.
And so anyway, I met Matt, the bass player. I met him through a drummer that it came through my job, and we kind of formed this kind of R&B soul, retro soul type band.
Nice. Okay.
And it was doing stuff like that, all original stuff, but things we did that for about like a year, and it was good and everything. But then we decided, to part ways. One of the guys wanted to move back home, and so forth. So me and Matt was like, okay, if we ever do something again, man, it'll be fun because we had a good time. But at that time, we wanted to get into like some heavier sounding stuff because
Okay.
the vocals we had was great, but he wasn't really a rock vocalist.
Gotcha.
So nevertheless, that happened, and I was, a little down about it because it was a fun thing and it was a cool band. And, so I'm just at work one day, probably like, the year later, and then I get like a text from Tom, and he's in Florida. He's like, hey, dude, want to start like a sleazy rock and roll band and take over the world? Just randomly out of the blue, And I'm like, yeah, man, it's been a minute, man. You coming back to New York? He said, yeah, man, I'll come back if you want to do this, And I was like, he's like, do you know, any singers or any stuff like that, And probably maybe a week or two ago, after my old band had stopped, Allie and I started back talking, about like, because at that time I was considering like just producing something for her.
Sure.
With the songs that we had accumulated through the times of us just, writing throughout the course of our, relationship together, as far as, making music. So anyway, I started talking about it and telling her, like, man, this person not doing my song right. I want to do my song, You know what I mean? I got to hear it one time and I was like, oh man, this is not it. So anyway, Tom comes back in the picture right when she comes back in the picture.
Oh,
So
wow.
then, it was crazy. So then I tell Tom, I was like, I was like, yeah, man, I think I got a vocalist. Cause Ali and I said we came to the conclusion, like, oh, we really want to do this. Like, let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's give this a shot. We've we've written some cool songs. We've never played them with anybody besides ourselves, and what do we got to lose? You know what I mean?
sure, yeah.
And we just went with it. So Tom, like, I tell Tom that I have a vocalist, and he's like, yeah, what does she look like? he's like, I was like, man, yeah, man, she's cute, man. It's like, but I mean, the thing is she can sing or whatever. So then I text Allie about it, and she's a comedian, so she says, oh, he wants to see what I look like, all right? So she texts me a picture of her on the toilet, and then said, text him this, and then so I send that back to Tom. And he like, he burst into laugh. So he knew that this could be, really cool, So we link up or whatever, the three of us, come back, and from the first practice, we went over a song that Ali and I did, and Tom got on it, and it just gelled and sounded really cool. So at that time, it was just Tom on drums, her singing, and me on guitar. And, I was like, oh man, it sounds great. They got comfortable. We started doing some, we did a couple of shows, and
Sure.
Really felt good. I think our first show was actually Halloween.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah, Halloween night, our first show. So, it just so happens that, like, okay, it's coming out good. I get an email from Matt, and he was like out of the country at the time. He's like, hey man, just checking on you, seeing what's up. If you ever want to do this thing again, or go to band, or going together, let me know. And I was like, well, by the way, man, I think I got something. He was like, what? I was like, yeah, man, I think I got something. Because I never wanted to have like a band again and have to like look for a bass player or look for stuff, because it's like it can be difficult.
It can be difficult, yeah, sure.
Yeah, man, it could be a trip, trying to find the right pieces and gel. So, I told Matt, so I sent him some stuff that we were doing. He dug it. He's like, oh man, this is cool. So now I let, Ali and Tom know. And they were a little apprehensive at first, just because they were used to what we were doing.
Yeah,
and
the camaraderie of that, yeah.
Right, and how another piece would, come into play. And so we got together, and the first one wasn't that great.
Sure.
And I'm like, man, I was like, Matt's a dope bass player, man. I know that somehow this can work. I was like, I got to put my head on it. Down, like, so then I started thinking, and I told Matt, why don't we do one of the ones that you and I did in our old band, and I could bring that riff in there. I know you already know it. You'll be comfortable. You know what I mean? And it can. And so I did that. Later, and then they were like, oh man, he's really good. I was like, yeah, man, I'm telling you, this guy was, you got to give him some, give him a little rhythm, And we just, after that, it was, the four of us,
That's awesome. And it's good to hear too, because like you never really hear like, I guess the weight of like how things all come together. Like, you are all doing separate things at one point, and you're like, will this ever come together? Like, yeah. And I think that's one of the coolest things about doing music and stuff, and having people that like I talk with on a regular basis about like where they come from, and like, how it took them to get to the point that they're at. I think it's just maybe me, because I love that like nerd thing where you just like learn about like the history behind something.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, I love that too.
But at the same point, it's really cool because like it allows you to like know that like it took all of that time to get to where you're at, and like I feel like all of you are like collectively involved in it, where you're like, I want this to happen, I want this to work. And it's not like, oh well, we've only known each other for like a year. It's like you've known each other for multiple years, and you're all like on the same page. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think that made it. It was the first band, honestly, that I was in where I was actually friends with everybody before the process of making the music. And I think that's super important, because it allows you to be comfortable. If you don't like the way something sounds, you don't have to like, because I see a lot of bands, just that form so, sporadically, so quick. And a lot of them now today, they don't know each other. So it's like, it's hard for stuff like that to work out, because, but, since we knew each other, it was like, we knew how to like make it work,
Yeah, you knew what worked and what didn't work. And then if you could, like, you guys could like make it happen where you're not like, oh man, like I don't know how this person feels or whatever. Like you all know how each other feels, and like you're able to hash it out, or like figure out how to make it work. So It's definitely cool. Like the story behind it. Maybe it's just the like I said, the nerd in me that enjoys
Yeah.
it. But I always dig that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm just like that too. I always want to know like how did this band come together? You know, do people know each other? You know, and there's always interesting stories. You know, depending on what type of band it is. You know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, the next question is, what are some favorite venues you guys like to play at or catch a show at in your free time?
Okay, well, definitely like Rockwood Music Hall. I love like playing there. It's really cool. Is the great sound. They do great sound there. Really enjoy playing that. Arlene's was always fun to play there. They I always go for the places that have really good sound.
Yeah,
Venues that I know where they can like capture in like a small space. Because like these places, they might like hold max maybe 150,
yeah,
125, but it's important to make sure that you can hear, the guitar, the bass, the drums, and that the sound person there isn't like, a jerk. Because, sometimes sound, they can be like,
that's true.
they can be on one,
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, but the guys at Arlene's are great, and the guys at Rockwood are great. So those venues, right off the rip, I dug those. Going to, oh man, I'm trying to think. Well, there's like what's the one called, man? Like Bowery Ballroom has.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah, that has good sound and stuff, and it's a cool look. It looks really dope too.
that's
Yeah. So
awesome.
those are ones that I can think of off rip.
And it's good to have those like smaller venues because like for me like when I go to see a smaller show I was like I want the sound to be good because I feel like it keeps everybody in the building. Like when you have like a good sound in a small room, that is like one of the best
Yeah,
things.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But the next question is to follow up the venues. What was the last show you attended that you didn't play?
When was the last show? Hmm, What was that? Oh, it's coming to me.
There you
Now we
go.
go. There we go. I'm having me a little sip of some wine, so I'm like, after a long day. So
I got you, Ed.
yeah. So, Spirit Animal.
Nice.
They're a dope band. They actually rehearse at my spot, and they're really dope, man. So I got to know the singer and stuff like that. And so when they were actually on tour with the Cult, and they were playing at the Capitol Theater out in Portchester, and he hooked me and my wife up with tickets, so we got to go, and it was a really really great show, man. And it's so weird that you mentioned what's the last show you went to when you're not there. It's a totally different thing, man.
What
Because
do
I'm
you
like, I'm looking at the thing, I'm looking at the guitar player, and I'm looking at stuff, and you know what I mean. I'm like, wait, gotta just enjoy this. Don't get so, you know what I mean.
You're like, when's load in? I gotta go on load in. I
Yeah,
gotta do all this stuff. Like that's.
right.
I mean, I'm not in a band, but like, whenever I see like musicians and stuff, I play guitar. Like I'm always like fixated on the guitar player, and I'm like, man,
Yeah.
like what is he doing? Like what type of pedals is he
Yeah,
running? Like stuff like that. And then I'm like, wait, I have to be here to like enjoy the show and like
right, right.
enjoy the music.
But that was cool, and actually seeing how the audience interacted with, especially since they were the opening act,
Sure.
and it was, and it was a fun night. It was a cool vibe.
There we go. Awesome. Well, we're gonna get into the big question, Tommy.
All right.
Who are you guys influenced by? I guess you can
Oh,
speak for the band in general, but like, who are
mm.
you more specifically influenced by?
Oh man, he's hitting with the tough
The
question.
big boys, yeah.
Well, I know everybody is, at least for this band, comes with different, influences.
Sure.
So, you know what I mean? So I can definitely, you know, speak for mainly for myself, but kind of give a little insight on, the other members and what they like. I know Allie's a big influence is, Jack White. She really, she's a, big fan of Jack White, you know, like Janis Joplin and Tina Turner,
Ooh,
and
classics.
a lot of the powerhouse singers, but also she's influenced a lot by hip hop and R&B, and stuff like that, So, but just to name those, a couple of those, and I know that Matt, the bass player, he's really big on like Rage Against the Machine and Black Sabbath, and Tom is like actually, him and Allie, they both really dig like the Deftones.
Ooh,
and
Classic.
he's really into like a lot of the R&B and a lot of the smooth stuff, of like 80s R&B, 90s R&B and stuff like that, and rock too. I think one thing I really like about all of our members is that they definitely all have a really well-rounded musical palette as far as the stuff that they
Yeah.
that they like, but they kind of bring in different sprinkles of stuff to what we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think, is anything else I missed from Matt? I'm trying to think. Yeah. Oh, but I know me and Matt me and Matt both really dig the Strokes a lot.
Ooh.
That was the band that we both like really bonded over. The Strokes. That's one of our favorite bands. And me myself, a lot of the old school R&B and soul that I grew up with my dad playing, all the Motown, Stax, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I kind of got into rock later on, because that wasn't really getting played in the house. But nevertheless, it was so funny. The old school R&B is so connected to like old school rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was right during that period where they started kind of taking those R&B riffs and adding some fuzz to them, or distorting them a little bit and making them heavier and stuff like that. So when I got into it, it just was an easy transition. But a lot of that with me, and I like a lot of I got a lot of different influences that I try to bring in. I'm trying to think, I don't want to leave anybody out. Of course, Hendrix, of course, but that's like being in basketball, and you don't have to mention Michael Jordan. You know what I mean?
You just know. We just
You
know.
just know.
It's understood.
Yeah, you just know. So that's like, the ultimate, mountain. And then after that, all the like the Chuck Berrys, love that. The Godfather, like Chuck Berry. I love Bo Diddley. Really love Little Richard a lot.
Ooh.
I get a lot from Little Richard, just how the sound. And then I'm a really big Stooges fan. I'm a huge Stooges
Oh,
fan.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a huge like Ron Ashton on guitar, and you know what I mean. I really love that. Really love Mark Bolan on guitar, T-Rex. So a lot of like T-Rex, a lot of the old blues. Like I would say, like Howlin' Wolf. Howlin' Wolf is probably my favorite blues artist.
That's awesome.
Mississippi Fred McDowell. And then I get into one of my biggest influence on guitar, a lot of people that they don't mention a lot, is actually Eddie Hazel from Funkadelic.
Oh, okay.
So I get a lot of my stuff from him, because he reminds me a lot of myself, because he was able to kind of merge like the soul with like the acid Hendrix stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I grew up on the soul stuff, and then I got in Hendrix, so I was able to like merge. And he's like one of the only guitar players that where you can hear the Hendrix, but you also hear that 60s soul, but it all tangs up. Yeah, it all tangs up. And but like modern guys, I really probably my favorite modern guitar player is probably like Dan Auerbach.
Oh, from Black Keys. Ooh,
Yeah, that was
great.
probably my biggest modern influence on guitar. I think Allie and I always clash of who's better, him or Jack White.
Well, that is a very hot topic, so I could definitely agree with that. I'm not gonna put my hat in the ring because I don't want to be incriminated online. But no, I could feel that, like a lot of like thanks to like my uncle, he listened to like a lot of oldies, like Motown, stuff like that. Okay. So when I was listening through to your stuff, I was like, I could hear it, but I always love asking this question, because then like it's like, like doing the homework and then knowing, and then you tell me the answers, and I'm like, okay, I get it. It makes sense. It's all coming together. Yeah. So like that's how I felt. There's just this like classic nostalgia vibe. Like I grew up on like classic rock and stuff like that. So like a lot of that influence I could hear in your writing. Obviously you're a rock band, but like I feel like a lot of that stuff, and then like the oldies and like Motown and stuff like that, I wasn't 100% sure on, but now I know I have the thought process that I was in the right headspace.
Yeah, and I also got one another mention. I like probably my biggest rock influence. I would definitely say like Arthur Lee from Love.
Oh, okay.
That's probably like, you might not hear it, but he's kind of the one that like for me allowed me to hear all the phases of music, from like the garage to the psychedelic to the folky stuff and everything. Because I've like studied him for so long. He has so many different styles of music, and so he was always somebody that allowed me to kind of see music tonality wise in
Yeah,
a way. Because unfortunately, Hendrix didn't live long enough to give us
like the full.
everything
Yeah,
that he wanted to do, whereas Arthur was able to kind of give us like some folk garage stuff, and then when Hendrix passed, he gave us some Hendrix style stuff, and you know what I mean. So we were able to hear all these different facets of music, and it just kind of inspired me to kind of be like, okay, I don't have to necessarily stick to this type of rock. If I want to do something like Donovan or like Richie Havens, like something really super folky, I can do that and not feel like I
like
just
you're
have
in
to
this
do.
hole. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm in this, like I'm in that, and he was kind of that, that bridge for me to do that.
That's awesome too, because like I always love when a guitar player can like evolve over time. Like like you said, unfortunately Hendrix didn't have the time to like fully evolve. But
Yeah,
I feel like with guitar players, if I can hear kind of like a growth over the many albums, however many albums they do, that's
yeah,
really cool to see. And for them to just, I think it's cool to just have somebody do what they want to do and not like compromise. Like when it's something that's just like what they want to
yeah,
do, what they feel, that you can't put money on that. That's what's the
absolutely.
best.
And just do it for sure.
But my next question, Tommy, obviously keeping it more pertinent, who have you
Okay.
guys been jamming recently? What's on your Spotify? What have you
Oh,
been listening to lately?
okay. Well, I've like I told you, I'm a huge Stooges fan, but you know, and I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but you can get in those ruts where you listen to the same stuff
Oh,
over.
I know.
You know what I mean? You listen to the same stuff, and then you forget, like, wait, these artists they got a lot of stuff, So
Yep.
I was on YouTube, and luckily on my feed, a performance of Iggy came up of his solo stuff. He did like a 3-song performance,
Oh,
just
tight.
obviously after the Stooges, and then
Sure.
it led me to this album that he did, New Values, and it's really dope. It's like very new wave-ish, and it kind of has like a Bowie vibe. I'm
Ooh,
almost
okay.
sure it's kind of like the time frame when him and Bowie were working together.
Oh,
So it
cool.
has like that period of where, like, when Bowie did Let's Dance, so it's kind of like that new wave rockish, but with a little bit of it's got a lot of cool stuff, man. But the new way, it's called New Values, and that record I've been listening to that one a lot from Iggy, because it's not as heavy as the Stooges, but the way that he's like finessing, his vocals and just rocking is dope. So I've been listening to that. What else I've been on top of lately? Just been in the I've been listening to some Doors too.
Ooh, classic. Another classic.
Yeah, yeah. The first record I've been listening to a lot, like
Oh, cool.
End of the Night and stuff like that. I've been listening to some Doors. See what else. Let's see what. Oh, I actually got into this band really cool. Nas, N-A-Z.
Ooh.
I think Todd Rundgren. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong. It's his name, Todd Rundgren, and it was his band that he was in first before he went to a solo artist.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, and it's Nazz, and it's really cool fuzz sounds. And it was so funny, being that my dad always played R&B music. He play like the Isley Brothers, and they
Oh,
got
okay.
this song, "Hello, It's Me," and so I heard this song all the time when I was a little kid. And then I recently find out about this band and find out that he wrote the song, and
There
that
you go.
the Isley Brothers were covering this Todd song,
That's
from,
wild.
and I'm like, this is crazy, man. I was
Like,
like, no, that was like a cool little discovery, like, because I had no idea that, that the Isley Brothers had like covered this rock song.
that's
I
awesome.
knew about, them covering like Summer Breeze, but I didn't know that they had covered, this other song. So I've been doing that. Always some T-Rex, you know, what else have I been? What else I've been getting on to? I don't know if you ever heard this band called like Fugi. It's like Fugi.
I have not heard of him, but I'll go give him a listen
Yeah,
though.
it's actually he's a songwriter that was for Chess Records,
Nice.
and
Okay.
he originally he's the songwriter that wrote Etta James song, like "Go Blind" or whatever the
Okay.
song it was. He's the original writer of that song. So he was a staff songwriter, and he did an album that they kept in a vault for
Oh
all these
wow.
years, and it was like a pre-funkadelic album that had like the quote unquote that they call the first original all black rock band, Black Murder.
Oh wow. Okay,
So,
that's
so
wild.
yeah, so Black Murder they play all the instruments on it, and it's really like funky, just like psychedelic rock, man, but like with an R&B vibe, and it's really really dope. So it's really hard to find. Like they actually took some of the songs off Spotify.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so when you see it, they have like three or four.
Like missing ones. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I've been listening to Fugi, and then I've been listening to Black Murder, which is the band, their first record, and I've been also listening to Def, another cool, like the first black punk band from Detroit.
Tight. Okay.
So I've been listening to them a lot, So I kind of will go back and have this thing of like, let me listen to like some cool stuff to get some ideas for this new record. And then I've been listening to this album 1983 from Richie Havens, which is really really dope, because I've been trying to read a book every month, like
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I read like a Charlie Pride book, and now I'm reading like the Richie Havens book, and after that I'm gonna do like a Neil Young book, which brings me to like Neil Young. It's like the first 3 albums that's been on heavy rotation. So I'm like a nerd with this stuff, man. I just will like put on this Neil Young album, and that'll be like Monday, and then Tuesday will be Richie Havens, and then Wednesday will be Nas, and so forth.
You're sounding like me. That's how I am. I've got a new record each day I'm listening to or something.
Yeah.
I'm like driving to work. I got something different on. I'm like sitting at home playing some vinyls in my house. I'll have something.
Oh, you're a vinyl guy.
I am a vinyl guy. Yeah, most people
awesome.
my age, I feel like aren't that. They like the whatever you stream online.
Yeah.
But I love I grew up in the age of like collecting CDs. I love all that shit. I love collecting vinyls. So whenever I find a good find, usually I try to go to a record store to pick it up, but every once in a while, if it's something like super limited, I'll like buy it online and get it that way. But I love perusing through record stores. That's feel like that's a dying art, but I love it, man. It's great.
Isn't it like a treasure hunt?
It's the best when you find something you like too. That's even better than like it could be like, oh, I could buy it online, but like if I found it somewhere,
you just go nuts, man.
You go wild.
I got the first 3 Neil Young albums on vinyl. When I found the first one, I was just holding it.
You're
and I was like
this. You're like, yeah, like, oh my God.
And I'm looking in the back of it, man. And I'm like, man, so that's kind of like, it's a vice, man. But I'm up to like 300 so far. I got like 300. Yeah, but I like it. It's fun,
It's great. Yeah, I don't spend my money on anything else, so I feel like that's
cool.
If I got to spend my money on something, it's music. I think I'm up to 75, I think, or something like that, which isn't too bad. I feel like I got a mountain to climb to get up to you, but I'm getting there. It's a good goal to attain to. But the next question, Tommy, a fun one. If you guys could pick a song to cover, what would it be?
Oh, man. Now, you know what? That's such I think a really interesting question, because me and Allie, the vocalist, we've kind of always, from when we started the band, we were kind of like anti-cover. Sorry,
anti-cover. I knew what you meant.
Yeah, because when you're doing like blues rock and you have this history of loving bands, like the Zeppelin, and Hendrix, and all the bands, a lot of that was like their hotbed of doing these classic songs. But it was new then, because no one had never electrified those type of songs, But as times passed, and now we're 2020, it's almost like the go-to. And I didn't want to be another person doing a version of Smokestack Lightning or or Catfish Blues and all that type of stuff. No disrespect to those that do it, but I'm like, how can I? And last thing I want to do was is now become known for a song that's not mine.
True. Very true.
But though, we always felt like if we were going to do it, we should do something that's a little obscure, or that people may not be familiar with
Sure.
that type of song, and then change it up. So I would probably pick something out of maybe like the catalog of maybe like something from Love, maybe like one of their songs, something like cool like that, and maybe do like a different version of that, or even like maybe like a folky type guy and change that up, maybe like a Tom Rush song or something like that.
Ooh, okay.
You know what I mean? Just something a little bit different, or very like obscure blues guy that like only has like a few songs. Like there's this guy called Belton Sutherland, and he only has like 3 songs, and it was only via videotape when they when they
Wow.
filmed. So stuff like that, But you won't catch me doing like
A real popular song.
free bird anytime.
I feel like I feel like that was a little bit. I feel like that was a little bit of not my personal attack, but I just feel like guitar players in general. If I can lump them all together, there's one guy out in that crowd. It's like, yo, Freebird, can you play Freebird? Like that hurts. I feel that pain. I'm not that guy, so. But,
or a Strokes song though, that would be cool.
Ooh, I'd be 100% on board with that. I mean? I feel like Reptilia, that one's one of my that's one of my favorites. That is such a great track.
Yeah, I remember just seeing Jack White do New York City Cops with them on stage, which was really cool. So I'm like, so a Strokes song, I wouldn't be opposed to something like that, but something, either like a really obscure blues song that I know someone in my field doesn't know, you know what I mean? If you go to the song on YouTube, it only has like maybe 1,000 views.
Or less. Yeah, that's how you know that's how you know it's a primo property right there.
Yeah.
But if you guys have if any of you guys watching have any suggestions for Love Honey, leave them in the comments. Maybe they'll give them a look at.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There we
go. I love to hear some stuff.
Awesome. Next question, Tommy. I feel like I have to ask this.
Okay.
Favorite food to eat? What's the go-to?
Man, oh my goodness, favorite. Oh, this is.
I know this one hurts because we're both on the East Coast. I'm from Jersey, so I know how the food rocks here.
So favorite food. You know what? I'm gonna go out and say, believe it or not, I'm gonna say fish and grits.
Ooh, okay. Any reasoning behind that? I'm very curious.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say because I'm a pescatarian.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
So, and I really love grits, and it's like really like cool like Southern delicacy,
It's that Southern comfort, baby.
Yeah, man. So either some salmon and grits, or some like tilapia and grits, and I'm sold, man.
You're
or
out.
shrimp and grits.
Ooh, shrimp and grits. Yeah, classic. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. Well, it wasn't as hard as you thought it was going to be. I feel like you were thinking about it real hard. You're like, ah, shit, what am I going to think of? But you got it. The next question, obviously roping it back into the music. If you guys could pick somebody to collaborate with, whether it be a guest vocalist on your next record or a producer you'd like to work with in the future, who would it be?
Ooh. Wow. Okay. Well, you know what? Be dope to work with Dan Auerbach. For sure, because that's definitely definitely one of my guitar heroes. You know what I mean? I think that would be cool. Him to produce something or collaborate in some type of way. I think that would be dope.
And he seems chill. Like he just seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, man. And I wouldn't fan out too hard. I try to act like I don't I try to be real.
You'll do it a little bit. I feel like I would. If I was in that position, I feel like I'd be a little bit fanny. Man.
Yeah, I would have to, man, because he's just like such a big influence. But and I think he would be able to tap into our sound. You know what I mean?
True. There you go. That's awesome. I mean?
So I would say that, or maybe even like something even cool, like with like the Strokes.
There we go. Well, if they're on Twitter, we're gonna at them on Twitter. Make sure they know.
Come on, Julian.
Let's do it, guys.
Hit us up.
There we go. Awesome. I want to hear a track with Julian Casablancas, man. That's the goal. 2020. Let's make those dreams happen.
We need it.
Let's go, guys. But the next question is, obviously you play guitar, but if there was another musical instrument you could master, what would it be?
Oh my goodness, that really like. Oh, man. You know what? I would really like to do like classical piano.
Ooh, okay, get
my Mozart on, man.
Get your Mozart, yeah. Like
Yeah,
play
like
in like one of those like those arenas with like an orchestra in the back, you know?
yeah, I think that would be really cool. Do some like classical because I really love classical music. And I'm a very bad piano player. So
So two worlds collide. That's how
yeah,
you end up
man, I
happening.
would love to do that because I can. When I learned piano, I was doing like synthesizer stuff and like new wave pop and a lot of that. And a lot of that stuff is like arpeggiated notes where you just do one
Press
thing
one
and
button, it's like
and
yeah.
it does everything for you. You know what I mean? But I would really love to do that. I think that would be cool. I thought about saying drums because drums are so dope. But I would say either probably classical piano or like maybe like jazz trumpet or something.
Ooh, that
I
would
think
be
that would be cool.
the jazz trumpet. I feel like
Yeah,
that's I don't get that a lot. I don't get that answer a lot, so I knew you had to deep dig
yeah, I think
for
that would
that
be
one.
dope. Because you don't see a lot of guitar players that can like really shred, and then all of a sudden they can get into like a
Yeah.
Miles Davis vibe. You know what I mean? I
There
think that
we
would be
go.
yeah.
That's awesome. I feel like I feel like again, you did say drums, so I feel like every guitar player, without like I don't think I've had one guitarist not say they wanted to play drums. Like that I feel like that's every guitarist's like secret dream that they want to play
Yeah,
drums but
why
can't.
is why
It's so
why is that?
strange. I'm gonna have to
It's
take a
hilarious.
poll. I have to take a poll and see how many people that
Yeah.
are guitar players want to play drums. I think for my thing, because like I said, I play guitar. I think it's the hand feet coordination thing. I can't get that shit. That's what gets
Yeah.
me. Like you'll see my hands move, and you're like, wow, that guy's on point. And then you'll see his feet, and I'm like, oh boy, this is like
Yeah.
this isn't working.
Yeah, only a few people really have been able to do that. You know who actually is a really dope drummer? Lenny Kravitz is actually a really awesome drummer.
Oh yeah, I feel like he plays like a lot of instruments
Yeah,
like
he plays
super well.
everything.
He's
But
just a badass.
hearing on like a lot of those early records, he can really get into like he can do a lot of the bottom stuff, and it sounds really dope. So when I remember hearing his early records, like man, he can play drums really good.
Yeah, I feel like he's just an all around good talent. Like he can
Yeah,
sing, play guitar, he'll play drums. Like he can
he's
do it
like in
all.
that Prince type category. Playing everything.
Yeah, definitely,
I
definitely.
just want to master too. If I can do it, I'll be happy.
I'd be
Yeah.
happy with just mastering guitar if I can get
Yeah.
that. If I ever get to that point. But the next question, Tommy, another fun one as well. If you could compile a dream tour, who
Okay.
would be on the lineup? Obviously, this includes your band. I feel like that's
Okay.
without saying.
All right. Well, I'm gonna say the Strokes. I'm
Oof,
always gonna I'm always gonna
gotta
put
keep them in the loop.
yeah, man. I gotta keep the Strokes in the loop. Um, I want to say Black Keys, man.
Ooh, okay, I'm feeling this already. I'm already
Yeah,
I'm 2 for 2, baby. I'm all about
yeah.
this.
I want to say that. Ah, man, it's a lot of good. What would be it? That would be good. Think of something. Because I like all the old school bands, and like they're so old now. Like
You could go like way out. You could do like two like real off the wall like out of bounds picks, or I mean I feel like you could stay in the lane, But
yeah,
I always love when people pick those like real like you
yeah.
specifically driven tour,
Those are the ones that like are right there that I know would be like a really
Good fit.
fun like rock and roll rocking tour. And then let's see. Oh, it'd be dope. Probably like the Roots.
Ooh, okay, Philly. Shout outs to Philly.
Yeah,
My
I think
guys.
that, I think that would be dope, man. We would have like a lot. We would have the soul, we have the blues, we have the garage, the new wave,
Ooh,
and
yeah,
everything. The
okay.
Strokes, we have like a good little little blend there, and then I maybe even throw in like Dead Weather.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah,
that's a good way to round it out. I'm about this.
yeah,
Guys, links are in the description. It's gonna be the Love Honey Fest 2022. Tickets are on sale now. Get them
yeah.
below. You want to be at this.
That would be
Shouts
cool.
to the Roots.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
All right, let's
uh,
do it.
Next question, Tommy. To follow up the Dream Tour, in your opinion, who puts on a great live performance?
Or like a band.
Yes. Or a solo artist.
Okay, well,
Any
definitely.
artist.
Uh, one artist that we got the pleasure of actually opening for. She's a newer artist that we opened for at Mercury Lounge. It was a great live performance because I got to see it, after we played with this girl named JJ Wild.
Oh, okay.
She was really dope. She's from Canada, and she's doing a rock and roll type thing. Really, really dope. I always try to think of like newer people that people might not necessarily know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Great.
And definitely my boys in Spirit Animal that she's seeing the show, they were really dope, man. You know what I mean? So that was cool. So those are the natural ones that I could think of offhand that are like bands that are doing their thing on the come up and really put on like a really good show. Because seeing Spirit Animal, they were playing for a crowd that really wasn't their style of music.
Sure, yeah.
And they still performed, did their thing, and it was dope,
You got to respect that. I love
Absolutely.
when a band goes on or like opens for a show that's like maybe not within their genre, I guess, and they have to like win the crowd over. I love that because I feel like they work. If you're a band that does that and works really hard at doing that, I see it. I don't know if I'm in the majority of people that do that, but like I feel like for myself, when I go to a show and I go early, like I'm there for the whole thing. I want to enjoy from like the 2 or 3 locals that we have to like the full bail and stuff like that. Like I want to enjoy the whole thing. So I feel like you got to give them their piece of time, even if they're not your cup of tea. I feel like you got to show them the support.
Even if it's not your thing, you got to respect when someone comes out. And that was one of the things I always heard about the Strokes when they were starting out. They could play in front of like a metal band, a metal crowd, and they could play in front of pop, and they would still come out like after them, people were like, man, this is a really dope band. And so I kind of like carried that attitude about like wherever we play, make sure that don't worry about if the energy from the crowd is not there. Make sure you give them good energy, even
you bring the energy.
Yeah, So those two, I'll give those 2 bands a shout out.
There we go. Awesome. Next question, Tommy. Another fun one. Favorite TV show, favorite movie?
Oh man. And why it's got to be one? Oh my god! Why does it have to be one?
I'll give you one and a runner-up. I feel like I know how hard it is, so I hit these questions. So I know.
Man. All right. Favorite TV show? I'm definitely gonna say Scrubs.
Oh, that's my guy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like one of my all time. Love that one. Movie's probably gonna be it's gonna be like Coming to America.
Ooh.
And like Dumb and Dumber. They're like neck and neck.
2 blessed comedies. I love that. love that. Yeah. That's awesome.
I love those. And then like runner up on the TV show is gonna be like Miami Vice.
Oh, okay.
So
there we go. We're talking about like OG Miami Vice.
Yeah, like with Philip Michael Thomas and Don Johnson. So straight old school.
You had the good answers, man. I'm like, those were underrated answers that I don't get often. So I felt that was in my heart. I felt that one.
All right, and I was too young to even see Miami Vice, but I ended up getting into it like later on, with reruns, and now I have like the DVDs, so it's pretty cool.
There we go. Awesome. Next question. If you were trapped on a desert island and there was one record you could bring with you for the next month.
Don't do this to me.
Next month. It's a month. It's a month. Come on. Okay. I feel like that's feasible. If I said of all time, then you could go throw stones at my place or something. I'll give you full ride to do that. But it's a month. I feel like you could handle that.
Oh, jeez. Why would you do this to me? So 1 month, right?
1 month. As if we were like in your car and the only CD you had in your car was that one CD and you could only listen to that.
Okay. And then I'm gonna go with the first thing that popped in my head.
There we go.
I'm gonna go with Jimi Hendrix Electric Ladyland.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go with that. Because it has some cool mellow stuff where when I'm getting stir crazy on the island,
I can in your car, whatever.
Right, I can be cool, and then when I want to rock out, it's got all that. So I'm gonna go with Electric Ladyland.
There you go. I like the thought process. That's taken into account. That's really good. But the last thing, Tommy, the most important thing. Tell them about your band, lovehoney, where they can find you out on the social media, and anything coming up in the next couple months.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, well, we're on all the major platforms or however, whatever this stuff is, you know. So you can check us, you know, we have our updates at www.lovehoneymusic.com. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all this stuff, you know, all the little platforms. And then now we got some cool stuff coming up. We're going to be recording our first record. Going to be doing that with the debut record. Probably going to be doing that within the next couple of months. And then right now, locally, we're going to be playing in this awesome like band tournament. It's like Winter Madness at Our Wicked Lady. So it's kind of this old school battle of the bands, all these different bands coming together. But the grand prize is like $5,000 and studio time, and you also get to represent them at South by Southwest.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty dope. So our first round is actually February the 15th. Yeah, so if anybody's around on February 15th, you can come check us out, you know, and then that'll be dope. So right now, all this month, February, I'm all about that Winter Madness tournament. I want to hold the trophy up, you know, and you know, that's pretty much it. You know, we'll keep everybody updated with, you know, cool, fun stuff we got going, and then hopefully you'll be able to check us in some of these summer festivals coming up, because you know that should be dope.
There we go. Well, I gotta give a shout out to the Cold Stairs, because that is how they found out. Love Honey found out about the channel. So that is always dope to, you know, music, just this crazy thing.
And they're dope too, by the way.
They are also very dope. So go check them out.
Really dope.
Check out our interview, you know, not to try to plug my own stuff. But I feel like it's a good opportune time. So, you know, you got to do it. But go check out Love Honey. Like I said, if you're all about that nostalgia, classic rock with a little bit of soul, you know, definitely go give them a listen. Links are in the description where you can find out about them. Their social media. If you live in New York, go check them out. Go check them out in that Battle of the Bands thing. That sounds awesome. Good luck. Hopefully things goes well. And if you do like their stuff, seriously, go out and see them. And if you enjoyed this interview, share it, like it, subscribe. It goes a long way. And thanks, of course, for Love Honey for coming on tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me, brother.
Hey, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos. So definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps out our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.